Sam watched the empty street with a heavy heart. For months, his friend Lena had lived next door. They had shared meals, stories, and laughter. But today the house was dark. Lena had moved away to another city last winter. Sam still remembered her bright smile and kind words. He felt the space between them grow with every sunrise. He missed the small jokes they shared in the morning and the way she listened when he had a bad day. Sam felt hollow. He wanted to hear her voice again. He wanted to tell her how much her friendship meant. Each morning, Sam woke up early. He sat at the same wooden desk where they once drew maps of distant worlds. Now the paper was blank. He tried to write letters, but the words felt empty. Would start a note, then erase it. How could he explain the hole in his chest? To call her phone, it rang once, then went to voicemail. He listened to the beep and did not leave a message. Fear held him back. What if she was too busy? What if she did not miss him? He did not know how to reach her heart again. Still, he refused to lose hope. He believed that friendship could cross any distance. After days of silence, Sam grew restless. He began to search for new ways to send a message. He saw old electronics. In his garage, a broken radio, a small speaker, a long wire. An idea formed. He would try to build a basic radio transmitter. Would not be easy. He had studied physics in school, but he was no expert. Still, he collected the parts and set them on the floor. He read old manuals and watched tutorials on his tablet. His fingers trembled as he soldered the wires. Sparks flew, but he held the iron steady. He had made mistakes before, and he would learn from them again. His heart raced with each connection. This was his chance to reach Lena, no matter how far. On a quiet evening, Sam carried his makeshift device up the hill near his home. Stars shone bright above, silent witnesses to his hope. He placed the radio on a rock and switched it on. The small speaker crackled. He adjusted the dial, listening for any sound. Night wind brushed his face. He whispered, "Lena, can you hear me?" He held his breath. Seconds passed. Static filled the air. A faint tone emerged among the noise. Sam's eyes widened. He smiled, his chest swelling with hope. He spoke into the microphone. "It is Sam. I miss you. Please talk to me." He waited, heart pounding. The tone returned, steady and clear. He did not know if it was her. It could be a distant station, but he felt a spark of connection. Human hope can light the darkest night. The next morning, Sam checked his tablet. He found a recorded signal on his device. The message was short. "I hear you." No name, just those words, clear and kind. Sam's eyes filled with tears. His hand shook as he read the line again. It was her voice, or someone who cared. Meant that someone listened. He felt a wave of courage. He packed his backpack with a fresh battery and his notes. He wrote a new letter, using simple words. "I am here. I will find you. I value our bond." He fixed the paper to the radio. He smiled at the sunrise. The world felt wide and open. He knew he could not fail. Human will and friendship could bridge any gap. He would find Lena, one step at a time. That day, Sam climbed the hill again. He listened to the clear morning air. He sent more messages, small words, shared jokes, memories of their last day together. He waited after each call, listening for her reply. The sun moved across the sky. As he sat on the cold rock, birds flew above him. He felt patient and strong. He thought of Lena's laugh. He thought she would answer soon. Human hope was patient and brave. He would wait as long as needed. He would not give up. As evening fell, Sam saw a flicker on his radio screen. A new message scrolled. "Meet me at the Old Oak, same time tomorrow." His heart leaped. That simple line filled him with joy. He ran down the hill, breathing fast. He felt alive again. The empty days were ending. He knew Lena had not forgotten him. He pressed a hand to his chest and whispered, "I will be there." Hope burned bright like a guiding star. He was proud of his efforts. Tomorrow, they would stand together again under the oak tree. Sam woke before dawn. The sky was still dark when he slipped out of his small house and stepped onto the empty street. He remembered Lena's message clearly. Meet at the old oak. Same time today. His heart thumped with both hope and fear. Put on a warm jacket and sturdy boots, then grabbed the homemade radio and a small notepad from his desk. The morning air was crisp and smelled of wet grass. Each breath felt fresh, as if the world itself was cheering him on. The night before, he had lain awake, turning their last words over in his mind. He ran his fingers over the smooth metal case of the radio, recalling Lena's stories about her new life. Sadness lingered around his chest, but the spark of hope drove him forward. The climb to the hilltop was steep, but Sam welcomed the challenge. He pictured Lena's bright laugh and gentle eyes with every step. Each memory felt like a spark against the darkness in his mind. He replayed their last goodbye at the bus stop, when she hugged him tightly and promised to write every week. Sam had nodded but said little then, too afraid of showing how much he cared. Now he felt braver. He tightened the strap of his backpack and pressed on. The first rays of sunrise painted the sky in soft pink and gold. Birds sang overhead, their morning song urging him upward. Nothing would stop him now. When Sam reached the top, the old oak stood tall and proud against the dawn. Its thick trunk bore scars from ancient lightning strikes, and deep rings showed its many seasons. He traced a finger along the rough bark, feeling its strength under his touch. He thought of Lena's support in the same way, steady and powerful, even when far away. The grass around the tree was soft and wet with dew, and Sam set his radio carefully on a low root. He opened his notepad and wrote 2 simple words. Hello, Lena. He folded the paper and tucked it against the device. His stomach tightened. As he looked across the open field, half expecting her figure to appear at any moment, he raised the microphone to his lips and spoke into it. Lena, are you there? His voice trembled, but he pushed the feeling aside. He waited, watching. The oak's leaves shimmer in the breeze. The air was quiet except for a distant crow. Seconds passed and doubt began to creep in. Had he done the wrong thing? What if she didn't want to talk? But Sam remembered a lesson from his school days. Human will can move mountains when we refuse to give up. He also heard his father's voice in his head. Tools and heart can solve any problem. Taking a steadying breath, Sam pressed the microphone again. Please, Lena, send me a sign. Static crackled in his ears. Then, through the hiss, came a gentle voice. Sam, his heart leaped, pressed closer to the radio. Lena, is that you? Asked voice cracking. The reply was clear, yes. I heard your call. Relief washed over him like warm sunlight. He closed his eyes and let out a shaky laugh. He placed a hand over his chest, feeling it rise and fall. Tears welled up, but they were tears of joy. He lowered his voice to a soft whisper. I missed you so much. He stayed perfectly still, listening to her soft laugh carried on the wind. When for a moment time seemed to pause, they spoke for a long time beneath the old oak. Sam told Lena about his climb, how the path had felt hard, how he had thought of giving up, then remembered her words of encouragement. He described how he had scavenged old wires and batteries to build the radio. Lena laughed at his story of the tiny sparks when he soldered the connections. She told him about her new city, its bright streetlights and busy markets. Every shared detail built a bridge between their worlds. Sam felt a rush of pride for what he had accomplished. His human creativity and stubborn will had reached her across miles, even taught her how to tune the radio's small dial to his channel. She thanked him with a warm voice full of gratitude and a smile he could almost see. They agreed to send short messages every morning and to share audio diaries, songs and stories, so their voices could fill the silence between calls. As the sun climbed higher, Sam packed his radio and notes back into his backpack. He looked up at the old oak one last time. The leaves were bright green now, lit by sunlight instead of moonlight. The birds were still quiet, as if listening to their farewell. He said softly, tomorrow, and stepped onto the winding path down the hill. His heart felt light, buoyed by their reconnection. He imagined building a network of radios that could link more friends and family so no one would feel alone. Again, Human hope and courage can cross any distance, he thought. He carried that hope like a beacon, shining bright in the days to come. With a final glance at the oak, Sam walked home, certain that friendship and will would guide him forward. Sam rose before first light again. The sky was soft gray when he crept from his door, careful not to wake his neighbors. In his pack, he carried the small radio and a new, homemade device, a simple camera rig he had built. Last night's messages with Lena had filled him with joy, but he longed to see her face. He believed that human creativity and hope could bridge any gap. The morning air was cool, and dew coated the grass as he walked the familiar path toward the old oak on the hill. At Lena's end, high above a city of bright towers, she woke to the gentle echo of Sam's voice. She had set her radio by the window so she could hear the wide fields and distant birds in his valley. When he spoke, her heart fluttered with pride. She pressed her hand to the small speaker and turned on her own camera receiver. The device glowed with promise, even though she only had a tiny screen and a few spare circuit parts. She waited, trusting that Sam's human spirit would bring the image through. Sam reached the oak and unpacked his equipment. He fixed the camera to a wooden post and ran a thin cable to his radio. Each connection sparked a small thrill. He tuned the frequency until static hummed softly. He cleared his throat. "Lena, can you see this?" A moment passed. Then, on the little screen, a grainy shape appeared. Dawn light, but her smile was clear. Sam's chest swelled. He whispered, "I see you. You look well." Seeing her eyes brought warmth he had missed for so long. Despite the joy, problems soon arose. The wind rustled the oak's leaves and shook the rig. The image flickered like lightning on a stormy night. Static cracked through Lena's voice. "It's too shaky," she said. Sam frowned, remembered the junk pile behind his house, full of broken antennas and old lens parts. He gathered his gear and hurried down the hill, determined to improve his design. Human hope pushed him forward, even when things felt uncertain. In the scrapyard, Sam sifted through metal bins. He found an old camera lens from a discarded drone, a length of sturdy wire, and a piece of cloth to block wind. He cradled the lens in his hands, imagining how it could sharpen the image of Lena's bright eyes. He felt the thrill of invention that spark humans feel when they solve a hard problem. With his find secured, he raced back beneath the sky turning pink with sunrise. He worked fast under the oak. He wrapped the cloth around the camera housing as a makeshift windscreen, then attached the drone lens. He rerouted the wire into a new antenna coil. His fingers moved steadily, guided by determination. When he finished, he stood back and held his breath. He flipped the switch on the receiver, then spoke into the microphone. "Lena, test 1, 2, 3. On the other end, Lena watched the screen. As soon as the static cleared, Sam's face came into focus. She gasped at the clarity. His hair curled at the sides, his eyes bright. He laughed, and she laughed too, her voice full of relief. "It works, Sam. You did it," she cried. The morning sun warmed her cheeks. They talked for a long time, sharing small smiles and new stories that felt real, even through wires and light. When the call ended, Sam packed his tools slowly, felt tired but happy. He gazed across the fields where the oaks stood guard and whispered, "Tomorrow we'll do better still." He walked home with a lighter step. Human hope had guided him once more, and he knew that no distance could break their bond. Each sunrise would bring new chances, and Sam felt ready for every one of them. Sam woke before sunrise, the soft light spilling through his window like a promise. He rubbed his eyes and sat up, remembering the clear image of Lena's face on the small screen last night. He felt a smile even before he rose, yet a small ache remained in his chest. Seeing her voice and face through wires was wonderful, but he wanted Lena to hold something he made. He wanted her to know he cared enough to send a part of his world to hers. Human hope drove him again, and he knew he could find a way. In his workshop, Sam gathered scraps of wood, thin metal rods, and a bit of leftover plastic. He laid them out on his workbench and studied them like a puzzle. His plan was simple but daring. Build a lightweight glider that could carry a small, gift from his hill to Lena's balcony. He measured the wing's span carefully, cut the wood with steady hands, and sanded each edge smooth. He bent the metal rods to create a frame and stretched thin plastic over it like a sail. Every cut and bend reminded him that human hands could shape almost anything. Next, Sam painted a tiny wooden box. Using bright red and quiet green paint, he drew the old oak on its lid, its branches spreading wide. On one side he wrote friendship, and on another hope. Inside he placed a small canvas he had painted with their favorite sunrise view, the sky like fire meeting earth. Beneath the canvas, he slipped a folded note. No matter how far, you are never alone. Sam, he closed the box with a gentle click. As he placed it in his hand, he felt warmth. This gift would carry his heart across the miles. Sam attached the painted box securely under the glider's belly, tying it with thin cord. He connected the glider's built-in radio receiver to his homemade guidance chip, programmed to follow a simple frequency that Lena would know. He tested the circuits. A tiny light blinked, and the chip blinked back. Right. He watched the glider's wings flex in his hand. It felt like holding a bird. He whispered, "Fly true," and carried it outside, the morning air crisp and full of promise. The hill before him gleamed with dew. At the highest point of the hill, Sam knelt and set the glider gently on a flat stone. He tuned his radio to the agreed frequency and spoke into the microphone. "Lena, I'm sending you something. Watch for it." He pressed the launch button and felt the glider's tiny motor hum. With a soft whoosh, it lifted into the sky. He held his breath as it caught the wind, rising above the oak and then gliding down the valley toward the distant city. He watched until it became a small dot against the horizon. Many miles away, Lena sat by her window, wrapped in a warm shawl. She had left her radio and camera on, listening to the valley's morning sounds. Suddenly, she heard a faint hum growing louder. She looked up and saw a small glider drifting toward her balcony. Her eyes widened. She reached out and caught it. As it settled on the railing, the gift felt light in her hands and her heart fluttered. She gently opened the painted box, and inside she found the little canvas and the note. Tears came to her eyes, but they were bright tears, tears of joy. Lena read the note softly. "No matter how far, you are never alone," she pressed her finger to the words and held the canvas close. The painting of the sunrise made her smile. She turned on her own radio and spoke into the microphone. "Thank you, Sam. I have your gift." Her voice was steady but full of emotion. Sam heard. The clear reply crackled through static. He laughed, relief and happiness flooding him. The valley and the city felt closer now, linked by human will. Sam packed his tools and stepped back from the hill's edge. The sun was fully risen now, a golden disk above the fields. Looked across the open land and felt his heart soar. Lena's voice repeated in his ear, sharing her plans to hang the painting by her window. They both spoke of building more devices, perhaps a network so every friend could share gifts across distance. Sam smiled, certain that human hope and creativity could bridge any gap. He walked home with light steps, ready for whatever tomorrow would bring. Sam woke before dawn again, but this time his heart felt lighter. The small radio crackled with Lena's message from the night before. "Meet me at the hill's edge, sunrise." He smiled as he packed his gear, a sturdy backpack, fresh canvases, and the guidance chip they had perfected. Last evening, Lena had sent a clear signal with coordinates she had mapped herself. Sam traced the route on his notepad, careful to follow her path through the low valleys and across the Silver River. He closed his eyes and breathed deeply. Human determination had brought them this far, and hope would carry them to the final step. Lena rose early in her city apartment, cradling the tiny painting Sam had sent on the glider. It hung by her window. Catching the first light like a bright promise, she dressed quickly, choosing a warm jacket and sturdy boots. Then she folded a small package, a digital recorder filled with her own sketches of the city skyline, and a note that read, "Our world." Together, she clutched it in her hand as she left, humming softly. The loud streets of the city felt strange without Sam's quiet valley air. but she felt courage in her chest. She would cross this distance, just as he had. Sam set out on foot at first. Following the old dirt road toward the river, he paused when he reached the wide water, thinking of Lena's words, "Use what you have." He pulled the small raft he had built from driftwood and canvas from his pack. He lashed it together with cords and tested its buoyancy with a careful push. When the raft held firm, he climbed aboard and paddled across the gentle rapids. Drops of water splashed his face, and he laughed. Each challenge felt like a game test of human ingenuity that he was born to win. On the city's outskirts, Lena stepped off a tram and headed along the forest path. She navigated map-like streets of trees and concrete, guided by the rising sun. She paused to help a lost dog find its owner, then walked on. Her kind action reminded her why she and Sam had always connected. They both believed in helping others. Each step brought her closer to Sam's world. She touched the recorder in her pocket and practiced the words she would say when they met. Her hope glowed as brightly as the morning light. Now Sam reached the top of the eastern rise, just as the sun peeked over the horizon. He paused on a flat rock, looking out over the golden fields. In the distance, he saw a lone figure moving toward him, a silhouette against the light. His breath caught. He adjusted his pack and stepped forward. At the same moment, Lena crested the far ridge, her face bright with a steady smile. They both hesitated for a heartbeat, then ran across the meadow, arms wide. They met in the tall grass and hugged tightly, their laughter echoing like birdsong. They sat together on a smooth stone, exchanging their packages. Lena opened the box with Sam's painting and pressed her finger to the oak tree's painted rings. Sam watched as her eyes shone. Then she unwrapped her recorder and played a short clip of the city's morning chorus traffic. Laughter, distant. Bells. Sam listened, entranced. He closed his eyes and felt as if he stood in her city window. Next, Sam handed her a small, glinting gadget, a combined transmitter and recorder that could share both voice and images. Lena's eyes widened as she read the small label, "Our Connection." She nodded, tears of joy on her cheeks. They spent the next hour building a simple network station beneath a fallen log. Sam wired the gadget into a solar cell he carried, while Lena arranged her recorder beside the radio speaker. Together, they tested calls and images, sending each other live feeds of the hilltop and the city apartment. They laughed at the static snow that sometimes blanked the screen and cheered when the signal cleared. Each success felt like a victory for all of humanity, proof that will and hope could conquer any gap. When their devices clicked into final operation, they sat side by side, watching the morning world awaken. Sam reached out and squeezed Lena's hand. "We did it," he said. She leaned her head on his shoulder. "We did, and we'll keep doing it." They spoke of expanding the network so other friends and families could join, so no one would feel alone. They imagined a chain of stations on every hill and in every home. The sun climbed higher, warming their faces as they packed their things. To part again, Sam felt a gentle ache at leaving and also fierce joy. Lena felt the same. They hugged again, whispering plans for tomorrow's call and next week's meeting. They walked in opposite directions down the slopes, each carrying a piece of the other's world. Sam looked back once and saw Lena's bright figure against the green. Lena turned and waved until Sam disappeared behind a rise. Hope shone in both their hearts like twin suns. No matter how far they walked, human spirit would guide them back to each other always.